Hi there, my name is Ron Rogers, and I'm going to tell you about the 4 times as an Air Force pilot that I thought I was going to die. I kind of consider that I've lived on borrowed time since my 20s. Now, the first one involved a night solo mission in the T-38. And I don't remember exactly why, but I guess because it was a short mission, we had a lighter fuel load than normal. And they told us that in our takeoff and afterburner, we would have better acceleration than normal because of the lighter fuel load. So, okay, fine. And I'm taking off, and we're taking off to an area at Vance that was dark farmland. I mean, there's just no visual references at all. And that can cause a few little spatial disorientation type of things. And I had an event that as I came out of afterburner, now there's a situation they tell you about in instrument flying that as you're accelerating rapidly in an aircraft, typically in a jet, it's going to make you think that you're climbing. The forward acceleration messes up with your inner ear, and this is all in the advanced instrument flying. And so your tendency is to push forward on the stick, and people have taken off and due to rapids accelerate pushing in the ground. Well, that wasn't the issue, but I was aware of it. But I had what apparently was a stability augmenter malfunction, and that can be the rudder on the T-38 is very impressive, and basically it rolled me almost inverted, and coupled with the I thought I was going to be climbing scenario, fighting off that I, the inner ear says you're climbing, fighting that off, and the whole deal with the roll really tumbled my brain. So I'll tell you, I got on instruments, and there was a lot of breathing, and I recovered, but it was not really in jeopardy, but it was an event that really got my attention, let me tell you. So I spent my time as a T-37 instructor, and yeah, there were a few events there. I talk about those, but in other videos. But my follow-on assignment was out to Edwards to be a chase pilot. Now, I became a T-38 chase pilot, got checked out as an instructor in the T-38, and then I became the senior flight examiner at the T-38 at Wing Stanavelle. So one thing we do is give check rides. Another aspect of this is that we tended, being the senior flight examiner in the aircraft, it was kind of an understanding that we flew with all the very, very senior officers. And I'm flying with a very senior officer who will be unnamed, but wherever he goes, I fly with him. And I take care of all the paperwork. He does all the flying. And if he wants to do touch and goes, I can do that because I'm an instructor. So it works out great. And he decides he wants to get a chase check ride, and I have really no idea why he wanted to do that, but okay, we got this mission with an F-16 60-degree dive bomb. And the way you enter this is from straight ahead. Both aircraft roll inverted, and as you roll inverted as the chase aircraft, you pull so that although you're upside down, the F-16 in this case looks like he's above you, so when you roll out, you're below him, and you're ready to get the pictures of the weapons coming off. Okay, fine. Well, on the roll in, the colonel was a little bit late rolling in, and we got high and we got behind, and he rolled, instead of 6 degrees, he rolled vertically. And he got behind, so he goes in afterburner, and we're already going at 600 and some knots, and we ended up going supersonic straight down. I yelled recover, came on the controls, went to idle boards, and we started the pull, and we went full aerodynamic buffet up to about the limit of 7 Gs there, pulling as hard as we can. And just by coincidence, we went between a little saddleback. Well, later there was an F-22 accident where I'm looking at the airspeed, the parameters, and the altitude loss, and he hit the ground. And I traced our profile over this and why we didn't hit the ground. I mean, well, we came between the saddleback. I mean, we barely missed hitting the ground, so it was that close. And we come back, we parked the aircraft, we're walking in. I said, sir, do you ever plan on flying chase? And he looked at me for a second, and not to embarrass a senior officer who I flew with all the time anyway, he looked at me and says, no, I don't. And so I said, Okay, sir, you passed. And that was the end of that. I think we had an understanding from that point on. All right. Next situation, I'm just up in the area doing some proficiency flying, you know, low aerobatics and stuff. And we were doing a lot of refueling testing at the time. And I look over and I see the KC-135 refueling, and I see the chase pilot. Chase pilot's not in this picture, but I go below the traffic. Now, our airspace out there at the time was kind of a free-for-all. We just, you know, see and avoid. We kept clear. And, of course, I had these all guys in sight. So, yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to hit anybody. And all of a sudden, I hear this roar. Now, when I fly in formation and stuff, you never hear the other aircraft. But I heard this roar, and I looked to the right, and I saw nothing. I looked to the left, and I'm looking up the tailpipes of an F-4 that I don't know how close I came to this aircraft, but I heard the roar of its engines. So that got me concerned that I must have been awfully close. Now, the last event, and this was ended up being my interview question for United Airlines, but I'm flying a T-38 on a maintenance test flight. I was also a maintenance test pilot out there, and they had worked on the engines, the flight controls, the canopy, and I'm doing the check on the canopy before takeoff, and all the alignment stripes are light. And oh, by the way, this the bling for my you know, but I digress. Is the tail number that's on there is the tail number of the aircraft that I lost the canopy on. I didn't actually lose it. It separated because the forward latch was insufficiently torqued. Apparently the mechanic had only torqued it to 150, well, he was supposed to torque it to 150 inch-pounds, and it was only finger tight. So when I hit some turbulence and I was accelerating through 500 knots, we had special use airspace. I'm 2,000 feet above the ground, and I'm accelerating through 500 knots, 0.89 Mach, and I hit a little bit of turbulence, and the latch unlatched, and the canopy separated. And I talk about this in more detail in another video. These are the pieces we later found of the whole situation. But it's a little bit of canopy glass and a little bit of the canopy rail there. We only found a few pieces of it. When it came off, it just disintegrated. I thought the airplane had blown up. That was the loudest noise I have ever heard in an airplane. I thought I was dead. Quarter of a second goes by. You know, I'm still conscious, so I figured I better do something about this. Got a chase from Steve Nagel, who later became a shuttle astronaut, and he said he hadn't seen a Roadster 38 before. When I came back, everybody seemed very concerned about this, but once I, you know, realized what had happened and slowed down, there was really no issue. I lost both checklists, my regular checklist and the FCF checklist, but, you know, I was fine. So I wasn't really terribly concerned there. But I later found out that I was supposedly the only one who's ever survived loss of a canopy this fast in a T-38, because what happens is if you have an aircraft with a flimsy canopy, it sweeps across the cockpit and decapitates the pilot. So that's why the old people were concerned. And I was talking to Bob Hoover 20 years later after his book came out for Forever Flying, and I said, Bob, I read your book and 20 years later got scared. So that was the 4 times that I thought I had died in the Air Force. Thanks for listening.